Welcome to the Musicians Talk Show. This is episode number 8. How's everybody doing? I'm with my co-host, Matt.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we have a surprised guest host again.
Yes. We got Kyle, my buddy from a long time back. Always been talking music together, so I figured he'd be a perfect guest.
Awesome. Definitely happy to have him. The first thing I wanted to
say
talk
hey, Kyle.
about...
Oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? All right. Well, I was waiting for my... that's fine. You didn't say it here, say hi. Here we go.
Okay. All right. Well, we're all here now. So, the first thing I want to talk about was Matt Sorum, who everyone knows, drummer for Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, The Cult, Hollywood Vampires. He's stepping away from them, I saw.
Oh.
And Kings of Chaos.
Yeah, Kings of Chaos.
So anyway, very famous drummer. He has started a cryptocurrency company called Artbit.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems, at least on the surface, revolutionary for the way artists get paid and stuff.
Yeah.
What is your take on that, Matt?
I think
Can you tell us a little more about it, because you seem to know more?
Well, I think I understand it. I mean, I hope I don't blow this up. But so basically, it seems like they're trying to make a one-stop shopping area for your music now. So you basically invest in the currency, the cryptocurrency, and that's how you select your music that you want to hear or whatever. So you pay however much a month for however many credits you're willing to, have for music. And then you get to pick and choose what you want to listen to, and that artist gets paid directly for it. And then it's not just music; it's painting, it's dancing, it's all kinds of different artists. So
he even said, or the interview I was reading with him said, like a street performer on the side of the road,
right?
Like
if he has a video, if he's on that Artbit site and somebody posts a video of him on the street or whatever, and they find him on Artbit, he will get credits for that video. So that it's people seeing him out, and it's one more credit towards his music career.
I'm sure we are butchering the complexity of this, but it on the surface it sounds too good to be true. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go play in a street corner, and I'm gonna always get paid a ton of money from all these people sharing my video. Like,
but here's the thing. I
don't know.
Here's my first thoughts on it are that it's gonna involve getting everybody on it. If we can get everybody on it, when the beginning it's just going to be kind of this thing that you do and you're hoping it's successful. That's the idea. You got to have faith in it. So everybody's got to get on this thing and then have faith in it. And then if everybody starts using it, the way it works is that artists will get paid directly through what they do.
I think he definitely has an uphill battle, because it seems almost like a social media thing.
Yeah, it could be the new.
And social media only works if everyone gets on board, like you were saying. Like, if there's 3 people on Facebook, nobody's going to be using Facebook because it devalues it. But
exactly.
And
how that started was through college, so it had a specific purpose, and then everybody got on it. So that's how college launched Facebook.
Yeah, and it's doubly hard because he's involving not only money but cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
Still
so now
scares
people
a
are
lot of
investing, right? And but the fact that this whole Bitcoin topic is now all over the place, like everybody's talking about it. You know what I mean? I know friends that are invested in it and watching it constantly. Is it going down? Should I buy more or whatever? Is it coming back up? So there's constantly that thing, and I feel like the more people that I hear about that from means the more acceptable and the more people are going to be using that style thing, and they're not going to shy away from it. Eventually, it's just like everything. Like cell phones weren't the big, the best thing ever right at first, and they got crazy. Now we're walking around with the internet in our pocket.
I wonder if it's
everything evolves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if cryptocurrency is an evolution or just kind of a fad.
That's right. And you don't know. You don't know until after it's gone through its cycle.
It's like, is it the iPod or is it the Zune?
Right, exactly. That's a great comparison.
So, Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I mean, is it a fad or not? I mean, it's just like everybody uses an ATM card for everything now, or a bank card, and cash is basically non-existent. And so this is probably just the next, maybe not the next, maybe it's a couple steps and generations down, but at some point, there'll literally be, you don't have to have anything in your pocket. It'll just exist out there, and it is.
Somehow they're kind of moving that way with like Apple Pay and stuff.
Right, exactly. In the cloud, and it's like you can transfer that to your bank account at any time. Right. So you have this hard bank account, and I think eventually that's going to go away, and which is going to be hard to do because those guys like money.
And banks are tough. So
that's what I mean, and they know, and they have a lot of it, so they got a lot of influence.
But yeah, exactly. So I think the issue, as I see it, would be people still like seeing the dollar sign they're familiar with. Mm-hmm. I think switching to a different currency altogether that's a big ask.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen.
If it's happening already in Bitcoin,
I think it is happening with some people that are kind of ahead of the curve, but we see that with anything.
But do you think that media is a good thing that could work for? Because I think that's not the same thing as just buying everything with that money. We're talking about buying just your art in that way.
It's just tokens for the arcade, really.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
I love that. That's a perfect analogy.
If that's what you're doing.
So that's it. So you allow yourself $30 a month to listen to new music and download, stream music, whatever it is. Because it sounds like they might be in like a per stream even payment style. So there's no.
I think it's still very new. I don't know.
You can't get on. I signed up, but you can't get on it or do anything yet. So I signed up for the thing. I hope that just shows support, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I'm cool with like trying something different because what we got right now ain't working so hot. Paying to play and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to that second. But my issue with Artbit, at least my understanding of it, which I admit is probably extremely flawed.
Limited right now.
I would love to sit down with Matt
limited,
or anyone and tell me like this is actually how it works. And then I'm sure it would be an amazing idea because I mean he's got a good track record. So not taking anything away from him. But it seems like Kyle said, you're paying for the tokens, right? And then the artist gets the tokens. Now what do they do with the tokens?
Right. Do they invest it back in other artists? Do they invest it back in themselves? I guess it's.
And he said he talked a lot in the interview about how the artists are helped and the fans are also helped. So it's like a two-way street. And I didn't really understand what he was talking about there.
Because I think he was saying that being a proactive fan and going out and videoing like that guy on the street busking, they will get credits for putting that video online. So now they're content creators. Now he's pushing the fan base to be a content creator instead of looking at it like, oh man, they're stealing my money by posting these videos online. They're promoting you now. They're making you more famous, like which is going to get more.
So then that definitely is a symbiotic.
Yeah, it seems like he's because there was a point at the end of that article where he said that he's always wondered like what the fans could. Or how he could thank the fans, how he can give back to the fans, because it's like they're doing them this huge honor by coming and paying these tickets to see their music. It's like, so how can I get the fan to feel good about what they're doing?
By the way, as I was reading that interview, he said the fans probably 300 times, and I just started to really hate that phrase by the end.
I didn't notice. I just fell into it.
So now the fans feels like the most pretentious. Like
fans,
just bugs
think
me
about
now.
his fan is the snare drum of his whole
thank
article.
The fans, like exactly,
fan,
it's backbeat.
Fan,
2 and 4, every 2 and 4.
Exactly, he's a drummer, man. He gets into his rhythms.
But that started to really bug me. That's total side note. If I see a word or hear a word too much, it just immediately just I don't like it anymore.
I hear you. Yeah, so Matt Sorum is super good to the music industry, obviously, pushing this new thing. I think it's for the best. I don't know how much money he would make I'm sure he has stock in the company.
He's probably got stock in the cryptocurrency they're using, which is not Bitcoin. It's another one.
Sure. So, he's going to make some money off of this, but I do think he's coming from an honest place, it seems like, after reading the article.
Yeah, for sure.
But Dave Grohl is another guy that I think is a fucking awesome guy for music these days, and he's pushing that raw rock and roll thing that, not playing to a click, not playing to backing tracks and stuff like that, and making mistakes. You know what I mean? The real rock and roll. I love that. Dave Grohl is an inspiration for me, for sure.
I like Dave Grohl a lot.
Yeah.
I like most of the things he says. I don't like that he treats people that play to backing tracks, people that don't do things his way, as fakes. I don't like that.
No, I don't think
because
he means it in a mean way.
Recording to clicks and practicing to get it perfect and taking a ton of takes and slightly tuning a vocal here and there, that's not fake. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
No, it's very difficult. Yeah, that's very difficult. And I think that when he talks about that, I think he talks about it from a place that he knows is difficult. He's not disputing that. Yeah. I just think he is trying to be a more free individual and and he's like just trying to express himself as real as possible. And
well, it's got to be hard for him because he came up as just a sweaty kid in the basements and blah blah blah.
Rock,
and now he's look, he's a leader.
He's a pretty inspirational guy, man.
Right.
He does a lot of things.
And so, he hasn't lost sight of who he is, and he keeps himself in check as he goes. And
it maybe people do feel that way, that he like talks down about playing to a click and playing to backing tracks and stuff like that. But I don't think there's anything like wrong with saying that he prefers the real rock and roll.
Not at all. I agree.
I mean?
You can always prefer whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you start pointing fingers at everyone else that it becomes an issue.
Sure. No, and I agree. Maybe he shouldn't push that train like in that form. But I guess he's done a pretty good job. I never thought of it.
No, he's always fine. He's always the nicest guy in rock and roll. Everyone says. Which I don't know how true that is, but he seems nice.
Yeah, he does seem nice. I think he's a genuine person.
Seems like a genuine, generous.
I hope so.
Cool guy.
How about when they did the SNL? They were the band for Mick Jagger. So Mick Jagger was the host of SNL, and he was like, I need a backing band, and they had a gig that night, but they said yes anyways, and so they helicoptered from gig to do that SNL gig.
That's hilarious.
And then helicoptered back, played their gig, came back and played the after party at SNL's. They have an after party or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Mick Jagger was there at the after party, obviously, and jumped on stage and did "Bitch" and
Miss You.
"Miss You." That was it. Yeah.
Nice.
It was awesome, and it was killer because Dave Grohl plays "Bitch" like not like Keith Richards, like not at all like that. The like Rolling Stones do it. He's like dun, 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 dun. That's the Rolling Stones, you know, like real low, and then comes in and about bam bam. Well, Dave Grohl, it's just like nonstop, wide open, like hard pushing rock and roll. And then, well, Mick Jagger, you know, being however old he is, you know, in that video, just kept up. It was such a champion, dude. It was so
That's funny.
Awesome.
Jagger is notoriously control freaky.
Yeah.
Like, he's always doing the accounting after every gig, like before he's even going home. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Well, he probably was pushed out of his comfort zone then because it was a lot faster version. I think you should look it up.
I'm sure they're great friends, but there might have been some words after.
Yeah, maybe. He was like, wow, that was fast. But it was supposed to be, I think it was Chevy Metal as David Grohl's cover band, and it was just supposed to be them, and he asked Mick Jagger if he would come up, and he said maybe, and then the party got kind of crazy. It was happening, everybody was having fun, and he looked over at him and he jumped up on stage and did the songs, and
there you go.
He said Dave Grohl said he specifically went right into "Miss You" after "Bitch" because he didn't want him to get off stage. He's like, if he got off stage you might lose him, but they had "Miss You" ready too, so they did it, and it was great. I mean, the only footage available of that scene is just people in the crowd, like, and they're just, you can hear them the whole time talking like, can you believe this or whatever. They're just like, oh, it's great.
That's
so
crazy.
It's the only footage you can get is just some
I remember the episode Prince did, or one of many, I guess. I don't know how many he did, but the after party that Prince did was supposed to be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Kyle saw Prince at Chicago.
I've seen him 6 times.
Yeah. Well, that night you saw them, he played the giant amphitheater.
Yeah, he played the United Center, the hockey arena, and then after that he'd go play the House of Blues until it closed.
Were you staying at the
3 nights?
What, the DoubleTree right there next to the House of Blues in
Chicago?
Chicago?
I at my house.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were living back then, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that was killer night. I remember I wasn't able to go, obviously, but that would have been a killer.
I would have loved to have seen Prince.
Yeah,
amazing,
you got some good footage too, didn't you? You get some good
yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, I know that word gets thrown around, but second to none.
Maybe the top performer of all time.
He may be. I mean, he literally. I mean, just.
I mean, he comes to mind. Michael Jackson comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's a very short list. I can't even think of a third.
Sure.
And
that hit that level.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it like takes a toll. Like the you know, there's a lot of weird things about Prince. Let's just be honest. Like, he was not like the most normal person, but I think that is what he, like, the true artist. He gets to like express himself 100% all the time.
He believed in chemtrails, which is just.
It's crazy, but you know, you never know.
My dad was a pilot. Like, chemtrails is the most dumb thing I've ever heard.
Well, you don't think all the other pilots would know about it? Right? Like, they're not all hey man, keep it quiet, man. I'm going on a chemtrail run.
Let me dive into this for 1 second. My biggest problem with most of these conspiracy theories is the amount of people that would have to not talk.
Yeah.
Impossible. It would never happen.
It's like the flat Earth conversation.
If something like that was real, somebody would have said something.
It's so hard. If you've ever had to hold a secret, you know how hard it is to like.
Let alone tell you, and you tell someone, and you tell someone, and then 500 people know it.
Exactly.
And we're all being quiet. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I'll say.
Anyways, we don't have to go into conspiracy theories. That's how podcasts go awry.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, but Prince, yes.
Prince, yes, all about it. The Super Bowl show of Prince was awesome.
Well, the Super Bowl show, everybody saw that. That was killer.
Did you see the video he did, or someone did, leading up to the Prince's Super Bowl halftime show, talking about how it all went down?
I know there's the raining thing. Is that I love that story. It's so good. He says, "Can you make it rain harder?"
Yeah, like what a pro, dude. Yeah. And he's out there in like heels that are God knows how many inches high, prancing around like on a soaking wet stage.
Just not it up.
Like,
he did it.
How is that?
Yeah,
right.
He did it. He made it look even more epic, which is amazing. It rained during Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking cool, dude.
Didn't he play a bunch of covers though? I think he did.
I can't really remember the whole performance. Actually, I need to go back and watch it. It's been a little bit. But I remember that specifically.
Someone I saw played a bunch of covers. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah,
I think it was him.
Yeah, Bruno Mars did a good job. I liked his.
Bruno Mars did awesome.
Yeah. So
anything else about Dave Grohl?
I mean, I love that dude. I want him to keep, you know, the music industry alive, rock and roll alive. You know, he's helping. He's somewhat helping.
Yeah, I definitely
Foo Fighters
like.
is a popular band. You know.
I definitely like. Well, they're so far past popular. It's like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's crazy. And I love that he always said that if he knew he was gonna be so popular, he would have come up with a better name.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that he's self-aware.
Yeah,
fine with making fun of himself.
Very
well, and time goes on and proves it. But he's more famous as Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters.
Yeah, or Nirvana. Yeah,
for Nirvana.
I'd be willing to bet a lot of people don't even know he was in Nirvana.
Exactly. And even back then, when Nirvana was the hot thing, it's not like everybody's like, oh my God, that Dave Grohl from Nirvana, he's awesome. You know, I mean, everybody understood the guy was a great drummer and the songs were great and all this, but nobody was. He was just a geeky little skinny kid with long, greasy hair, just beating the hell out of the drums. And
he said he had interest in writing songs and was writing songs and stuff like that. But he was like, Kurt was such a good writer. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, tell him no, we're gonna do these now. Like, he's like, he had so many and he's such a good writer. He's like, I just let him take it.
And it sure would have been interesting.
And then that says a lot about Dave Grohl's character, that he's willing to literally let art live. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is what he was doing with Kurt.
That's smart. No ego. That's literally no ego.
That's 100% for the music.
That's for the band.
I love
for the group. For the team.
He knew it would help them stay together. It would help them. It's the best, dude. To me, it says a lot about him, and this whole career kind of proves it.
Yeah,
I love that he's into, he's super into Bad Brains and like the old school, punk rock scene, stuff like that. So Minor Threat. That kind
I saw an article where he tipped someone $1,000.
Nice.
So
I can believe that. He's a good guy, I think.
Well, he's worth $300 million. So.
He's got some money.
It's fine. 1,000 to him is like 10 cents for me.
Well, it still says a lot.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 1,000 is still money to anyone. So
yeah. All right.
I was just about to say something else about Dave Grohl, and I can't remember it. Oh yeah, not about Dave Grohl, about Nirvana. Have you seen Westworld? Do you know the HBO show at all?
No, I haven't.
I have not either, but it's supposed to be very, very good.
What is it?
And I don't even know, but
you don't even know?
That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is the composer put out a cover of Heart-Shaped Box.
Oh, cool.
That's phenomenal.
Is it? With
It is
strings?
so good. It starts out with piano and cello, and it slowly builds to this
Awesome.
like huge orchestra. It's
awesome.
phenomenal.
Gary Gray style.
It's really cool. Yeah,
that's cool. I wonder
if
have you texted him about that? You should ask him about that one. What he thinks about the Heart-Shaped Box.
It just came out, I think, yesterday.
Well, there you go. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Text him, man.
Phenomenal. He's also the composer that does Game of Thrones. So
awesome. So it's got to be good. That music's always awesome.
Oh yeah, it's always awesome. All right, let's move on to the next topic.
Oh yeah. Analog Studios.
I don't know that that's the.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. It's a dying thing.
Studios that are more, or that have analog gear, rather. Like mine does not.
Right.
It's very digital, computer based.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we say that, what we mean is you can mix and record your music in the box, which means inside the computer with the plugins and stuff that are available to you there, which is easier, cheaper, faster.
All digital.
All around. Yeah, exactly. Some people argue it doesn't sound as good. So the other option is analog, which is the old school way, which is where you run your stuff through outboard gear, racks of heavy compressors, and preamps, and all this stuff. Not even necessarily tape, because you can run through all this outboard gear and then go into Pro Tools. But
but it's another analog tool is tape, right? The
tape, can do tape.
Right, yeah. So I mean, that's just like one of those. One more thing.
When we say analog, most people would probably think we mean going to tape.
Yeah, exactly.
That is more rare.
Yeah, now especially.
I'm more meant along the lines of like running through analog gear and then going into your computer,
into your box, right?
So you're doing less in the computer. You're mixing on a big board.
Yeah, your guitar's not direct in. You're recording you're through cabinets. You're recording
mics,
drums, full on recording drums. Because now you can totally digitally map out drums and MIDI. So I think
when people say it sounds better, if you get three guys in a room and record them all at the same time, I do think there's an energy there that
feeding off of each other.
That
it's a live feeling.
It's hard to replicate. Not impossible, but hard to replicate.
Yeah, you're right. Not impossible.
But as far as the sound, I mean, we talked about it a lot with Gary when he was on the podcast.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
It's negligible difference to my ears.
To most people's ears, I mean.
To most people's ears, I mean, even the people that argue analog, I'm sure you could trick them. You know?
Yeah, I thought you wouldn't be able to get me with the Kemper, and you got me with that one. Remember?
Yeah.
So that was a interesting learning day for me. You know what I mean? I hadn't heard anything yet like that, but that one was.
And I hadn't either. But I mean, the Axe-Fx kind of does something like that. It's not good, not as good.
That's what I've heard. I've never heard it myself.
The Helix Line 6 has a new one called the Helix.
Yep.
Years so old. It's supposed to be very good.
Cool.
It's supposed to be on level with the Axe-Fx.
Yeah, I was actually just at Sam Ash, and the salesman was telling me that.
Yeah, a lot of worship places use them.
Yep. So
perfect. Line 6 has always killed the convenience.
Yeah,
they've always done
so good. Still kept it affordable.
Affordable, and they're always on the cutting edge of technology. It seems.
Yeah,
they have all these
trying
digital,
the wireless and the all that stuff. They're doing everything.
They have all these like digital mixers and speakers that I don't even know what.
Yeah, there's lots to be said about their features and stuff that they put into their equipment. I think the biggest thing that they lacking is the longevity of their equipment lasting.
You think so?
Yeah, I have a couple Line 6 products, and over time, just the knobs stop working, or and one's like glitching out or something. It's like
I know what you're saying.
I think that's where you get like when you buy a made in USA tube amp or something like that.
Those guys 40 years.
Yeah, those guys take pride in their building, and they're spending money on the high quality components, and that's why you're paying $2,300 for something like that, or somewhere around that range.
I know what you're saying. I have a funny Line 6 anecdote, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year this was, but it was decently early on in my guitar playing, maybe 2008, 9, something like that.
Yeah.
I got this Line 6 Spider Jam for Christmas.
Yeah, those are great.
And it has all these like
plug in
jam
your
tracks
player
and stuff.
to it,
all that stuff.
Headphones, all of it.
So I didn't really think anything of it. It was just my amp back then. I still have that amp and still use it all the time.
Good.
Like,
and
that's
everything
over,
works on it.
If it was 2008, and I think it was around then, that's a decade old at this point.
Nice. Everything works on it.
Well, see, some knobs like
the digital knobs.
It's not. One of the digital knobs it works, but you have to like push it really hard.
Okay.
So I definitely know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the actual like twist knobs.
Yes.
The thing pulled out.
Yeah.
And went missing. So now it's just like a little thing. And then one of those broke off. So you have to like put your finger on it. So.
Yep.
But I only use 4 tones from it. So I just turn it on and it's ready to go.
It's a great studio tool, I think. I mean, they're not the best sounding things, but if you're putting a little demo together and you need a quick tone, like or just from effects.
I use them for rehersal's because I don't like lugging my whole thing around.
They're great for rehearsals. I
don't like
board.
I don't like bringing my
the Pod X3 Live. You know that the board. Pod X3 Live. It's got the pedal on the
Yeah, those are great.
Kyle had the 2x12 Spider. That was a great little amp.
I think I had that one too. I had the Spider 3 that was like that.
2x12?
Yeah, it had 2 speakers.
I think it sounds massive. It roars.
Nice little crunch to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Remember, I
tight,
just got my Marshall, and we had your Line 6 sitting there, and we heard them side by side.
Yep.
And it's amazing what a Marshall will do straight into it. You know what I mean? There's no effects, no pedal, like no overdrive pedal or anything. It's just crunch, and it's beautiful sounding. But the Line 6, when we listen to them side by side, we're like, well, that's not much better. I mean, the Marshall's not much better for that price difference.
Yeah.
So
I've lugged that little thing in, which is not very big at all.
Yeah.
Or maybe the size of a small suitcase.
Yeah.
I've lugged that into many gigs, and people look at me like, you're playing that?
Yeah.
And by the end of the gig, they're like, that thing sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
I had a lot of compliments on the
I'm just like,
foot pedal
just
too.
let me play it, and then we'll talk after.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you mic it up. I mean,
well, I was going direct into the board through stereo out, so it was cool. All my delays were going through the PA back and forth.
That's nice.
It's like a great sound as long as you have monitors and you're good to go, man. Like, so I always kept the pedal for quick gigs, like fly dates, something like that. But fly to across town because you're running late.
Yeah,
it's a different fly date.
Different kind of fly date.
Yeah.
You're still
We're not superstars yet.
Yeah, exactly. So analog studios or studios that use analog.
Yeah, you know a little bit more about them nowadays.
Yeah, I'm working at one in Charlotte that's very high end.
Yes,
and I'm not very familiar with the analog board. I'm very comfortable in computers. I know all about computers and audio. That I can do that all day. Tell me to bring it out of the computer and lay it across a board and run it to a compressor across the room and then EQ it. I don't know what I'm doing. So now I do. But
well, that's a good, man.
It was a learning curve. I mean, I've never had
to
mess with a patch bay, which if you've ever seen one of those,
not a real one. I've seen
it's on
the
a mind-boggling thing. Just Google image patch bay right now, and you will see just some scary images of a bunch of tangled ball of cables.
Yeah, knobs everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. So figuring out that.
Yeah. Which is good, man. That's kind of learning the history of music and where it came from, and I mean, you take that knowledge with you because they made these things based on that stuff. All our inbox stuff is based on that. Like that's why they look like they look. That's why when you pull up a plugin, it looks like it's bolted to the screen. And it has the little bolts on the edges because that's the way they used to be in the rack.
Yeah, I am learning more about why I think people constantly argue that analog sounds better from the older school. It is easier to have a better sound right off the bat.
I think it's because it's too. Yeah, I think it seems too easy. As soon as you get that sound, and you're just like, well, this is like that's all I got to do is pull up that plugin, and now I got that.
No, I'm saying it's easier to get a good sound right off the bat on analog.
Oh, through analog, right.
Because you run it through the compressor, you EQ it a little bit, then it hits the board, and it sounds amazing.
I gotcha.
You're like, oh my god, this sounds so good.
Yeah.
And then you plug it into your Focusrite interface and pull it up, and it doesn't sound as good as that because you haven't done that yet.
Right.
You do that after.
You think the default settings are not?
Well, it's just different. I mean, a beautifully compressed signal with EQ and all that stuff is going to sound different. Maybe better's the word. Maybe it's not. Than just a raw digital signal to Pro Tools, Yeah,
maybe there's something to be said about
And I was
physical
surprised.
equipment wearing in, it changes slightly tonally. And,
you know, batteries dying, there's a sound there. Tubes dying, there's
lots
a sound
of things.
there.
There's lots of variables in analog gear versus digital.
The gear warming up versus
consistent as fuck, which is consistency is great, especially if you're trying to do stuff in fast.
Yeah.
I mean, digital, you have the consistency, you have your presets, you have all, you know, as many presets as you can fathom.
Yeah.
And then you can group
as many different
stuff,
things,
group things. It's like just, it's unbelievable how much you can do with the digital system.
It's definitely interesting though. It's I'm out of my element and it's cool.
That's good, man.
Stuff,
I think it's good. Always everything, anything. What does David Lee Roth say? He says if you're facing the same way, then you're going the wrong way or something like that. It's like don't always just go with what's easy. You gotta kind of branch out and try some different
My favorite
stuff.
is if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
There you go. That's it. That's another great one. Yeah. So be around people that make you better.
Try to live my life that way.
Yeah,
it's great. Go seek out the smartest, best people I can.
It proves that you're still young. You're still young, and think about all the people you've met and talked to. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. So that actually brings us to our next topic.
Yeah.
Which is
You want to start it?
Sure. We're talking about Steven Slate's products. Like I said, I'm a huge in the box guy, so I've obviously used Slate.
Yeah.
I think he started out at least doing Steven Slate drums.
Yeah.
Which are some of the best drum samples you can buy. And he's about to come out with SSD5, which is it looks phenomenal.
Yep.
He then moved into, at some point he started doing hardware.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But he then moved into what he calls the virtual mix rack, which models all of those analog compressors and EQs that we were just talking about.
Right.
Preamps and stuff too. So, and apparently, and I'm not very familiar with, the certain way a distressor compresses a vocal. Like I'm not sure I could pick out that.
Sure.
Like some people
Takes
that use
years
it every
of
day.
experience, yeah.
But the people that do use it every day, beat it with his stuff and says it holds up.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it sounds the exact same, if it's better, if it's worse. But they said it holds up. And it's
to
a
your
good
ears, I'm sure it sounds
alternative.
great.
Yeah.
You don't have all the actual mics to try it back and forth or anything like that, but to your ears, it sounds great. Like
sure, yeah. If I can put it on my stuff and it sounds good, like I don't care if it sounds like a distressor. It sounds good to me.
Like, if it's slightly different than the real thing, what does that matter?
Yeah, exactly. So he started doing that, and then he moved to, or at least this is a very recent development. He has the virtual microphone system, which I have, which is a condenser microphone that runs to his. He calls it an ultra linear preamp. I'm looking at it right here.
Okay, yeah.
And then into your interface or whatever.
Right. So now
you don't want to run that through any EQs, or you could do EQs, but you don't want to run it through another preamp, because what this allows you to do is after the fact drop different mics and different preamps on it. So one mic becomes
and you don't want to run through your own preamp, because then that colors it and that changes.
Exactly.
So you want to use it.
It won't be as accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't want to run it through your own preamp and then be like,
unless you wanted to color it. Unless you wanted to color it. You like the color of your whatever you're running. But
sure. Yeah, but
super cool. Like we used it on the episode with Logan to emulate SM7.
Yeah, Logan was actually talking in that, emulating the mics that we are talking into, and it sounds the same.
It does. It was great, and there was a great direct comparison. We have actually these mics. We actually have. We don't have a U.
Yeah, we have two SM7s, and then we hooked him up to the VMS and made it model.
Does the studio you're at have the U87s?
It does. He has a U87. He's got some KM184s.
So that's one of those luxuries to have.
Sure, and
actually
they have the U67, which is kind of the same thing.
Cool.
And I think it's actually like a vintage version. I'm not super familiar with the Neumann history of mics, but I know the U87.
There's a lot to it apparently.
Is the one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It sounds phenomenal.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean, that's my favorite go-to one in that.
Yeah.
In that
absolutely.
plugin profile.
I'm sure.
Well, it's just so cool that you can just listen to a vocal that you recorded a year ago,
change a mic,
and then change the mics to a brighter sounding mic, a darker sounding mic, and like whatever you want.
And those run. What's the price point on those?
They're $1,000.
Yeah. So
not bad. That's for the big diaphragm condenser. He's coming out with small diaphragm condensers, which model like SM57s, all that stuff, KM184s, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if they do a 58.
No,
it's more for like what you would use to mic a piano or a guitar cab or something like studio use.
Yes, right.
And he also has a one rack unit interface.
Okay.
That is supposed to blend. It's basically a bunch of these ultralinear preamps at once. Cool. It's like 8 of them. So
would you be able to record multiple mics at a time?
Yeah. So what he did on the demo that I watched, he takes all of these virtual mics, runs them through his system, and records a drum set.
Right. You can record a whole drum set. That's what I was thinking.
And
that's cool. That's really
the first thing he did is after they recorded the drum set, he sat down at the computer. Now the drums were recorded; they didn't do anything else.
Okay.
He made all the mics very vintage sounding, and he hit play, and it sounded very vintage and old school. He switched them all to modern mics, changed the entire sound of the drum kit. He didn't do anything.
It's kind of like
there was nothing on it. It was
drummer,
a raw
and
kit.
when you switch the kit,
exactly
the way it was recorded and everything switched, and you can do that with the same kit. And like,
I'm telling you, this guy's cutting edge. Like he's on top of it.
I definitely believe that.
He also started the $15 a month subscription plan.
Right. So then you're not buying the equipment outright. Or the
plugins.
The plugins outright. Right. It's not equipment,
and you think $15 a month to get X amount of plugins like that might get tiring over time. It does not.
Yeah.
I constantly get emails from him.
Yeah.
I constantly get emails from his team like, hey, you have this now.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I have this amazing delay plugin you just came out with.
New.
Like,
I can try it.
It's mine.
$15 a month. And it's what you do. So it's what
you don't even try it. It's yours.
Yeah.
As long as you keep paying, you have access to all that stuff.
Bucket. Yeah.
So I don't buy any other plugins. I just keep Slate stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. And $15 a month, I have all the plugins I need.
Yeah. And you're not paid to say that.
No, not yet.
Not at all. He loves it.
Yeah, same with the Kimber. Not paid to promote the Kimber. I like what I like, and if somebody else came along and said promote my stuff, I'd be like, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I'm not going to use it though.
Exactly.
Or maybe I would. I don't know, but it's got to be better than Slate, and so far nothing is to me.
Right. Exactly. Until you find something better.
And I feel validated seeing that other people who are way better than me say the same thing.
Yeah. What about Waves plugin? Do they have a monthly thing yet?
I don't know.
That'd be a cool thing for them
to do.
Their
plugins are always top of the line. Everybody loves them.
Yeah. And people buy them.
I think they're also one of the oldest.
Yeah, they got a lot
in the game a long time.
They got a lot of them. They were the first ones for Pro Tools, right? They were like one of the first ones that started making them.
Definitely been. And their stuff's great. It is. Absolutely. Yeah. I used to use it back in the day.
It's all
back in the day. It was like 5 years ago.
Back in the day.
But yeah, was it 5 years ago? 6 years ago.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean they were way better then though. I think the original plugins were pretty crude. I think, you know what I mean. Like,
I'm sure. Yeah. Like Pro Tools.
So, but Waves was making them then. I think when they were crude.
You think so?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they've come a long way. I remember using them in like 2012 and 13.
Some old I forget what band it was, but some old studio footage of them, and you're looking at the plugins that they got on the screen, and they're like the first Pro Tools user. It might have been Metallica. It might have been somebody. I think Metallica was definitely one of the first ones.
Metallica bands to go. At least now, I don't know if they always have been, but they now are. Always seem to be on the cutting edge of technology and social media and marketing and all that.
I love how transparent they are. They show everything. They show their whole making of the record, their rehearsals. They do like live songs.
And they've been doing that for a while too.
Yeah, they've been doing it since
Saint Anger,
since Black Album, and it's crazy.
Black Album, of course.
Yeah, they've been doing it since Black Album.
What year was the Black Album?
Released in August of 91.
91.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's my favorite Metallica album.
It's great. It's got so many hits, man. So many just heavy hitters.
And I guess it's because it's the first one that I heard.
Amazingly, produced. Like the producer,
right.
Name escaping. What's his
Bob
name?
Rock?
Yeah, Bob Rock.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyways, but yeah, he did an awesome job, and that's all in the documentary too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and
how
he influenced it and whatnot.
It's funny we're talking about that because Steven Slate Drums has what they call the Black Kit, which is supposed to be the Black Album kit.
Perfect.
And it sounds, at least the kick and the snare, sound hilariously accurate. Like it's like, oh my God, this is the tone. Like, I'll show it to you when we're done.
Sweet.
It's insane.
Yeah, so that's right there. You can get that fucking huge sound.
Which I know they pioneered some crazy mic techniques for the drums. Something like 30-something mics on the drums or whatever.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I know they like octatrack the guitars.
And they played the all the drums like a live track. They were all isolated, the drums were isolated, and they were all playing guitars, and they could hear each other through headphones. So that's a cool thing to record in a live style, but then go back and lay the guitars over.
That's what, So that's what GNR did for most of their stuff. That's what a lot of those bands did.
It's a great way to do it, but watching them create that guitar tone too.
Well, that's what Motley did.
Yeah,
feel good to get that big.
Anytime you're tracking live, you're going to have the drums is what you're aiming to get.
Yeah.
And then the bass cab's off in another room, the guitar cab's off. But all the guys are sitting in the same room with headphones.
Sure.
So you kind of looking around like you get the vibe of like we're playing together, but you're only really recording the drums.
Yep.
If you get a magnificent bass or guitar take, you'll keep it.
Might keep it, right, yeah.
The plan is usually to go back and do those again. You just want to capture the energy of the drums.
Exactly.
Because that's not easy to capture.
They're feeding off the guitars. They're feeding off the vocals, and stuff like that. So
not easy to capture.
A lot of interesting back and forth between like Lars and James, on those making of documentaries and stuff. So it's cool.
Like
to watch
what comes to mind? I haven't seen them in a while. I've seen them all, but it's been a long
arguments. How about the one where like I wouldn't ask you to do a drum solo if your arm fell off, like that one? Like there's just like little stuff like that, interesting banter, and you still see that in the Hardwired stuff. That's all on YouTube. You can go watch that. I mean, all of it's on YouTube now, but you can go watch the making of Hardwired, and I think that's an amazing record and super. Still cutting edge, like for Metallica to come out with a record like that and it just be so successful. I think everybody was just like floored, kind of. And watching that get made is even more interesting. Like to me, to nerds like me,
it is interesting. It's interesting to think about Metallica, and we were talking earlier about the Foo Fighters. You mentioned them keeping rock alive. I agree, but part of me also does not agree because I want to see. the people that keep rock alive, like smaller bands. You know, like of course, like Metallica's keeping rock alive. They have 1 million people at every show they play. Like, of course they're keeping rock alive. They are rock since the 80s.
They're keeping Metallica alive. I don't know. Like, Metallica does a good job at like bringing other bands out on the road. But yeah.
That's
huge.
a good thing.
Yeah, that's
for
a
sure.
good thing.
But like, if you're the biggest band in the world, like, or one of them, like, yeah, you're keeping. Yeah, of course you're keeping it alive. Like, you've been doing this for 30 years. Like,
You're sewn into it. You're on the machine.
I want to see the new bands come out of that.
Yeah.
And then they, like, Avenged Sevenfold's a good example.
Yeah,
they came out in like
exactly.
2006 or something.
Yeah.
Even they're kind of, you know,
huge. They're
aged now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
like 12 years old.
Older,
like,
yeah. They've already gone through a drummer, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
several.
Couple drummers, but
after he died, after the Rev died, they
just can't keep
one.
But Brooks seems awesome though. I think Brooks is their guy. They seem like happy on the road. Like they're another one now that's adopting that video, everything too super transparent. And they were at the Hard Rock Cafe and they played a set, like they had a set up there with instruments and stuff, and they're like, we should go play. Brooks says we should play Exist for the first time in its entirety live at this Hard Rock Cafe, and they all laughed. Of course, they're not gonna do that. It's like a 15-minute song or something like and there's no way they know how to play it right at that point. But and it was just funny that they were all getting along and happy. So I think he's gonna be staying.
Absolutely, yeah. Have you seen any of the pranks that Christ plays on Sin?
That's great. That's awesome. Really funny to watch.
My favorite one was he got together with their in-ears guy and got the in-ears guy to pump Sin's voice back into his head an octave higher. So every time he goes to sing, he sounds like a chipmunk, just in his ears. No one else's ears. Yeah, totally. Not to the mains.
Totally. That was funny. It's funny as hell.
That is the best prank I've ever heard.
He eventually just kicks the mic stand over. He gets so pissed off. And then what did he do back to him? Because he got Johnny Christ back already.
I don't remember.
He did something.
I went that far.
Was it water? Did he dump like a cold bucket of water on him or something like something simple? But it was pretty. Well, it was right before they were going on stage. So he had to go change. He had to go change and go like set up all again. So I'm sure. Yeah,
that's funny.
He got him right at the worst time.
Do you ever read any of the like? So supposedly there's a tradition where opening band goes out with a headliner. Mm-hmm. The last night of the tour, the headliner pranks the opener.
Yeah.
I think it was GNR pranked and got pranked several times throughout their career. But one of them, I think it might have been Aerosmith. They went out and like 2 minutes into their first song or whatever it was, they got flour, just tons of flour dumped on him.
Whoa.
Slash said he was scrubbing it out of all his nooks and crannies of his guitar for like a month after. Like,
whoa.
So he said they were out there just trying to look badass and do their thing and immediately just felt like idiots.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's an effective prank, but I don't know about like, as far as like what's too far, like that's big. That's a lot. Dumping flour on all my gear and my hair. Fuck you. Yeah. I don't know about that, man. Wait, so what happened to Aerosmith?
They didn't know. You don't prank the headliner,
right? Well, they said they got pranked, and they
GNR was headliners. They pranked.
So they didn't. The
only one I remember was they went out with blow up sex dolls.
Yeah,
and like pretended to like bang them on stage while the other band was playing, and Slash was completely naked. The other guys were wearing like boxers or whatever, but it's in his book. I think it was a picture of him.
Okay, it
was really funny. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I wanted to get back to the Black Album though.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want?
Huge.
Talk about
huge.
I mean, if this was Donald Trump describing it, it'd be huge.
It's huge.
Yeah. So there's no denying that. One of the biggest, most iconic records ever.
It's the first Metallica album that I ever heard and got into. So for me, it's my favorite just because of that.
Accessibility.
You know, the people that follow Metallica since the beginning will say their favorites Kill 'Em All or one of the earlier ones or whatever. Not for me. I just don't like it as much. The mixes suck really bad.
Yeah,
and not remastered.
I can't get into it. Like, I can't get into it as much because I just love a really good mix.
Yeah.
So hearing some of that older stuff, not just Metallica, hearing any older stuff, although thrash does not sound good when it's not mixed well.
Right. They were the first to do it. I mean, they influenced. Think about that sound, that Kill 'Em All sound influenced Pantera. Heavily influenced it. That's they talked about that before in across interviews, documentaries.
Can't argue the influence or the impact. I can't argue that I just don't like it very much.
You can argue whatever you want. I'm just saying that
for my taste, I've never been able to hear it and be like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
but the Black Album, every song. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So and that's the Black Album might have reached more people than Kill 'Em All. I mean, I would say that's like it's very obvious.
That's kind of when some people say they went commercial.
Yeah,
which seems like a dirty word,
which is BS. But
yeah, that's retarded.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to make better music, and they did. Yeah, I don't see how you argue that.
Lars has the best quote. He's like, they called us sellouts, and sure, we sold out every seat every night.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Well, can't fault us for that. What's wrong with being sexy?
Well, for me, I got into him with Justice. And, you know, and so that was my first taste of it when I was.
Yeah. When did Justice come out?
That was 88.
Okay.
You know, so I was like, you know, 12 years old when that came out. So that was, you know, I was at the right age and the right time for that. And so that's what really hooked me first, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's
so
perfect for that.
From there, I went back to the Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning puppets, right? So I already had a pretty good.
I do like Master of Puppets a lot.
Absolutely. It's epic. It's undeniable. But then
Kill 'Em All was the first one, though, right?
Yeah, and it's the thrashiest.
And then what?
83.
Here's something
then Ride the
super
Lightning.
sentimental about Kill 'Em All.
Then Ride the Lightning, and then Puppets?
Yes.
And then Justice.
Justice, then
Black. Okay, got it.
Yeah, something super sentimental about the Kill 'Em All too is that Cliff Burton was only in the band for, you know, the
3.5 years before he died.
Exactly. So it was like a sentimental thing too. So there's part of that. He was a great bass player. Like,
Absolutely.
And the, you know, next
Newstead
record.
talks about it all the time. How Cliff was just, you know, the
hard
guy.
to live in the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did Cliff play on?
Well, he did the solo, the Anesthesia. Was it?
No, he
No, I
played
mean
the
like what
whole album.
albums?
He played Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets.
Right. Those
Okay,
three.
so you did all three of those.
Right.
He did all three of those.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. But like the songs that he was a part of, Ride the Lightning, the solo in the beginning of it, right? That's the one, or is
For
it?
Whom the Bell Tolls.
For Whom the Bell Tolls. Jesus.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
that piece.
it's on Ride the Lightning. Was
Yeah.
and then the Anesthesia.
Anesthesia.
Pulling teeth. I said it right the first time. I don't know why I doubled back on myself.
Then obviously the Call of Cthulhu.
Like that is
Orion.
Metallica
Those are
shit.
his.
That's like that's a
you know,
thing, you know.
Signature pieces.
And they
for
see
sure.
Tim out. He was in another band, so I don't know. Just
Cliff?
talking about
That's funny.
But he was on Master too, so
It's kind of what happened with Velvet Revolver, right? They decided on Scott, and then they just had to wait until he was done with Stone Temple Pilots.
right,
Like,
right. Yeah,
They auditioned some crazy people for that. Have you ever?
I heard. Yeah,
So you know Todd Kearns, his current bass player, auditioned as vocals because Todd's a kick-ass singer.
Yeah, he is. He's
I thought
great.
that was crazy.
And he's in Slash's band, right?
Yeah,
He's his bass player.
I've seen him a couple times, and he takes lead vocals on a couple songs.
Yeah.
And,
He's got a real high voice.
Yeah.
Todd Damn It Kearns.
Yep, exactly. Really cool guy. I've talked to
Really
him a few
cool.
times.
Really
Super cool.
Oh, you've talked to him. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
But the Black
But,
Album.
Yeah, back to that.
Massive.
we keep going down rabbit holes.
I mean,
We just
real
keep
good
coming back
at
with huge.
Huge.
different place and time, but you know, it's,
Yeah,
you
could
can't-
ever a record be released that big anymore? Could you put something out that is so
I think there've been bigger and just as big records released since, obviously, but
rock record?
Now,
That's what
I
mean,
don't
like
know.
in mainstream rock records, I guess.
well, Use Your Illusion came out in '92, I think.
Right.
91, 92.
91.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
91.
right.
So right around
Was
the
it
same
bigger
time.
than Black Album though?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
the
wouldn't
numbers.
say.
No, I mean, you know, like being that was my peak time of teenage years. Nothing touched the Black Album, and it's kind of interesting for the millions and millions of albums it sold, and all the, you know, there was a lot of backlash against it, and people said, you know, they sold out,
Definitely
blah,
the
blah, blah.
sellout thing, yeah.
But I mean, if you put that record on and listen to it, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just it
Nothing-
sounds
it's
amazing.
nothing
The
that- you can't
songs,
deny it.
It's, you know, they were evolving and maturing as humans and people and musicians,
Yeah.
and
I hate when people call bands sellouts just because they've evolved. It's
Right.
like, dude,
I think that's
come
a
on.
small-minded
Like,
person who
Right.
uses that word. I don't think that's you know, I mean, if you're throwing that word around,
I think there is
what do
such
you
thing as a
mean?
sellout. I do not think they're very common.
Not anymore, probably.
So every band
the
you point your
stigma's
finger
so
at
hard
and call
at-
a
that people don't
sellout
want.
is just no.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what you have to do to sell out is compromise
Who you
what
are.
you want to do and who you are to make money.
Yeah.
So if you compromise who you are and what you are, but you don't make any money, you're not a sellout.
Right.
Like,
Right.
just
Exactly.
weird.
Yeah. He's like, well, that guy.
If you want to go into more commercial directions and you make a ton of money, it's absolutely not a sellout.
Right,
That's
right.
you just doing something different than you wanted to do.
Exactly.
Metallica's always done that, and it has not always worked out.
Yeah.
Right.
Saint Anger is the prime example.
Yeah.
And I love that they made that album anyway, because it's like, hey, we want to make this. It's like, well, people don't really like it. Well,
Yeah. So
that's
then-
where we were at the time.
So then a song like
works for
Nothing
them.
Else Matters is probably was that one of the first ones for them to do a song like that?
oh well, that was, I mean,
do you
that was
think?
on the Black Album. You know, they had, you know, their ballad, quote
Yeah, let me
unquote,
think what
you know,
was-
Fade to Black was
Fade
the
to
first
Black.
one, and they got a lot of backlash for that because
Yeah.
it had acoustic
Yeah.
guitars and intro into it,
Exactly,
but
it
obviously
was
turned into a
immediate.
real burner. But
I can't believe it's just a lot of the metal community just makes me
Yeah,
laugh.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just like,
Well, there's-
what?
yeah.
Like
yeah,
Yeah, I think there's that in every genre. I'm not, you know, like, but I think that
metal.
the
It
people who
seems
don't who
metal. It
talk like that-
seems for some reason they just
Maybe.
have those people that are just like
So
hating
loud.
acoustic guitars. It's
Yeah,
like, what, dude?
right.
Like, shut up.
Right.
Like,
It's music's music.
yeah. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, your
So-
electric through
so
your
Nothing
Marshall
Else
has the
Matters
same.
though. James's solo on there. We gotta
Yeah,
go
which we're going to talk about in a little
Yeah.
while.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's up next then?
I wanted to dive into our album review
Okay.
of the week,
Hit it.
which will be Greta Van Fleet, From the Fires.
It's time for an album review.
So they released an EP, like 4 songs on it or something. I don't remember what that was called. And then a few months later, they released From the Fires, which has 8.
Yes.
Now they're back in the studio doing, I don't know what, maybe a full length with none of the other songs, or
Yeah. Who
we'll
knows?
see. But let's talk about Greta Van Fleet. I mean, we've all listened to Greta Van Fleet, right?
I was just reading an article about them this morning. That was really interesting.
Yeah, tell me about that article.
So it was basically like a little written
I love
up
the title.
review of the basically the YouTube video is elder people react to Greta Van Fleet, and they do it really nicely. They lead them in real smoothly. So at first it's listen to this band and what does it make you think of, right? And then they give them a couple different songs and they go, would you compare this band to any other bands? Then they say, okay, this band is Greta Van Fleet, and they're like, oh, okay. Now we want you to watch this video of them, and are they how you pictured them? And they put, they have this kid who looks 19, 20 years old or whatever he is in that video, and he, he's screaming his head off, and he's just like, wow, I didn't expect it. But it's all elderly people, so it's all people who like songs or bands like Led Zeppelin and classic rock music. Not all people that like classic rock, but most of those
more
people
familiar with it.
are more
like
familiar with it.
Talk about.
Exactly. So, and then there was just a good way to do a blind test kind of on what people think about this band, which was great. I think if anybody watches it, you'd think that like, wow, if I wanted to have my music tested, I'd want it done like this in this staged way. So you can really get a good idea of what people think about it before they answer. But anyway, so the funny thing is that people mistook Greta Van Fleet in a blind test versus Led Zeppelin. They mistook it almost 50% of the time. They didn't know what the difference was. Like
That's
Led
crazy.
Zeppelin. Yeah.
That's crazy for me because
so close.
I know a lot of Led Zeppelin and I'm very familiar with Greta Van Fleet.
Yes.
So I would immediately be like, Greta Van Fleet song. Like I know every word. Like
there's the songs. These people did not know the songs. They knew the Led Zeppelin songs, but the interview or the
so they thought it was
the
like a
poll was done in a way that
unreleased.
they accounted for that. Like, listen, we can understand that people are probably gonna know who Led Zeppelin is,
Right.
but we did this interview in a way or this test in a way that it's just gonna let them see how close they think Greta Van Fleet. Maybe it's some Led Zeppelin
Unreleased
song they never heard, right?
Yeah.
Or some unreleased song. That was part of it too.
Most people don't know every Led Zeppelin song.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's super interesting, and I think that kind of gets us thinking on the track of like, so what if that continues to happen? Like what if we have some kind of, I mean, maybe you can already say this, like some kind of Michael Jackson copycat or, Prince copycat. Somebody comes out and just starts doing like kind of that same thing, and it's like, wow, that's kind of weird.
I think we do in Bruno Mars and Justin Timberlake.
Right. That's what my point was kind of making, is that there are other examples of this, maybe not
I
as.
don't really like the term copycat though.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, you know what I mean by it.
I absolutely know what you mean, because when you hear Greta
What
Van
word
Fleet,
would you use?
You immediately know, oh, Led Zeppelin.
Right.
I get
it just seems like it. Right.
I absolutely get that. I don't. I mean, I wouldn't accuse them of copying.
No.
I mean, they just seem like
That's not
the
what I
four
meant.
guys that you ask
I'm not
any of
trying
them
to
who
be
their favorite band
accusatory.
is.
Yeah.
It's Led Zeppelin. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And
It's like,
there
so
are
of course
three
they're gonna sound
brothers,
like that.
three
Yeah.
brothers and a
Three
friend.
brothers and a friend,
So
yep.
they could all have easily grown up in a household where their family really loved Led Zeppelin. They were always
Absolutely.
playing
And
Led
they're-
Zeppelin.
And they're 19, 20 years old. Who's to say where they're going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years
when they
from now,
figure
right?
out
I mean,
what music they want to make, or something new or branch
it's
out.
going to change, just like the real Led Zeppelin
Just
did.
like
So, I
real
mean,
Led
it's
Zeppelin. It
gonna
doesn't
be-
necessarily have to go in the same direction. So
Not that
most
these guys
likely
are
won't.
imitator Led Zeppelin. I'm not
Right. I
saying
wonder if they
that.
would steal a song like "Stairway to Heaven" or something just to get.
Well, I mean, that's how-
It does.
I don't think
it does bug me that they are inevitably going to take all this shit for that. But
Yeah, there's lots of questions. Apparently, they don't acknowledge it.
It's
They just
okay,
don't
but if
like-
you're-
that's hilarious.
Yeah, they just
if they
like-
don't acknowledge it, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
They don't really come out and say anything like, "Yeah, we're not trying to imitate Led Zeppelin
but
or anything." Like
you-
they're not going to defend themselves.
You're
They
not
shouldn't. They
a
shouldn't
total
defend
idiot though, right? You know you sound like
Right. But they just don't acknowledge it. It's like, why? Like, I'm an artist. I like Led Zeppelin. This is how I sound. Like,
Yeah, but if you're a younger kid looking for new music and that's the path you go down, first you got to even like that music
Yeah,
to begin with,
exactly.
right?
So-
So if you find yourself there, it's going to be irrelevant to you. You know, your knowledge of who Led Zeppelin even is or was, or
bands
you
are
might,
bands.
You
It's
know,
a gateway.
it's
A
not
band is
gonna
a band.
matter.
You don't know
Right.
the time period. I mean, the recordings might age the time a little bit or the sound a little bit. So like, there's a little bit of that, but it doesn't matter. Like, it is its own thing. It's
One thing
subjective.
You're not gonna
totally
care.
subjective.
Right. You're not
One
gonna
thing
care.
I love about Apple Music is, I mean, we're looking at right here. You have the date right there,
Yeah.
or the year at least.
Yeah.
The album was released
Yeah.
for pretty much every album you look at. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. I like knowing when stuff
I like
was
knowing
recorded.
because I like to know the progression of a band. So
Yeah.
I always like to know their first record, their last record.
Absolutely,
Their, whatever
yeah, I
their-
love that.
what's
Or like, oh,
current.
this came out
Exactly.
3 years ago.
Exactly.
Like, whoa, didn't know they did anything. You know,
And it's always changing. Like, bands evolve and they always change. So it's always interesting to me.
A lot of them cycle through members
Yep.
nonstop.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that kind of attracts you to
Like
other bands.
hearing,
Like, you hear that.
hearing Warrant's album in 2011 or something.
Yeah.
is like very obviously different. I
Yeah,
don't have Janie Levin or any
absolutely.
of that, but it was
absolutely.
it was
Members
okay.
changed. It's new style recording.
not the biggest fan of any relatively modern 80s metal band album.
Yeah, I mean, neither.
Like any 80s metal band that put out an album in the last 5 years,
Panther.
I've not liked it.
Steel Panther, and they're not like, you know,
Steel
an 80s,
Panther is phenomenal.
right? And they're not an 80s metal
not an
band.
80s band.
They just have a great sound.
Absolutely. They somehow managed to capture and spoof the 80s so perfectly, but also do it so undeniably well.
It's amazing.
That you can't even
What a great-
have
They
an
write
issue
better
with it.
songs than the people who were
Absolutely. They write more
and I love that
interesting,
stuff. So
like-
it's not even. I'm not.
Yeah, I do
It's
too.
not a diss at all. It's just-
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's the great thing about it. And
But-
they do the great covers. Like they're always incorporating covers. And it's great.
Absolutely. And they can probably do them better than anyone else. But hearing the old 80s bands now is not very fun.
Yeah, exactly. Because
The lyrics are just like, what are you thinking,
And
dude?
yeah, there
Like-
are a lot of differences in the lyrics than what we hear in modern music. Like,
Yeah.
there's an ongoing thing on Howard Stern actually, the songs you couldn't write today. So they're going back and they're looking at Christine 16 and going,
Right.
what if we release that today? How's that going to go over?
Yeah.
Not good. You know what I
Not
mean?
well.
Like, there's lots of other stuff there, and they have a list. I think it's 50 songs
Jeez.
you couldn't write today. You could not release. If you did, you'd be skewered.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that's
trying
an
to think of some right
interesting-
now, but I mean,
There are. Listen, you should check it out. There's probably clips of it online, but it's a really interesting segment. I love it.
that does sound awesome.
Yeah.
So back to our album review.
yes.
I love that we go down these rabbit holes and a
it's
topic
great.
leads to a topic leads to a topic. That's how we get to the best
That's
stuff.
how we get
I love
to
that.
it. Yeah.
So, I mean, do we need to go track by track, or do you just want to kind of review it as a whole?
We can go track by track. The videos are interesting too. I love their videos.
The first one I ever heard, this is how I got introduced to Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
I was driving home from the gym, and I was with my buddy Logan, who was on episode 6. And we were in his car, and the radio was on, which is never on. We're always listening to, our music.
Yeah.
But the radio was on, and this song was playing, and I was like, this is a good riff. I like
Yeah.
this riff. And then the guy started singing, and I was like, all right, I like this a lot. This is awesome. Like, I don't hear music like this on the radio. So we looked it up, Shazammed it or whatever. It was Highway Tune, which is on From the Fires, track 5, looking at it right here.
Nice.
That's probably their biggest song, I think. I would assume.
I
'cause it was the
don't
one on
know,
the radio.
man. Because I think all their songs are so powerful. I think they all have this.
See, they only had
awesome-
4 to start. They had
Yeah.
Safari Song, Flower Power, Highway Tune, and Black Smoke Rising. So they
Yes.
basically put a new one in between each one on this
Right,
track.
right.
Those were the first 4 that I heard, and those were on an EP, and I played that shit on a loop for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's
So
undeniably
I'm less
good.
familiar with Edge of Darkness, Change is Gonna Come, Meet on the Ledge, and Talk on the Street, although I have heard them all plenty, and I love them all, especially Edge of Darkness. But the other 4, what I would call the original 4, I guess, are
the singles,
outstanding.
or the whatever the.
and I think Highway Tune was the first single. I don't know if it was the biggest, but I think it was the first single.
Yeah. I think that immediately
It's got a great groove.
Immediately you get the Led Zeppelin thing, but as soon as you're just like so what? Like just throw that out the window. It's not a big deal, right? It's not.
My next question, but do you like Led Zeppelin?
I love Led Zeppelin. That's
So
the
then
thing.
shut up.
Exactly. So it's,
I'm not saying that to you.
I know
you know
what you mean.
what
I know
I'm saying.
exactly.
It's
Right.
like
if you like
like
that
Led
type of
Zeppelin,
music,
yeah,
there it is.
So why
You
does
got
it matter?
more of it.
Why
You
does it
should be
matter?
jumping
They're
for
not
joy.
around anymore. Do
Yeah.
you ever want to hear Led Zeppelin, like
Yeah.
a new Led Zeppelin style song?
You should be
'Cause
jumping
that's
for
all
joy.
This is the only chance you got right here. This guy is doing it. Like he's got it for
Absolutely.
you, and he does it killer. Like nobody is saying that song's not good. Like
crazy.
they all say it sounds like Led Zeppelin.
Nobody says
Nobody's
it's
saying
bad,
it's
yeah.
not good.
Because
Like,
then you're insulting Led Zeppelin in
yeah,
a way.
but do you think that being these guys in Greta Van Fleet, do you think that they hearing that like, oh, it sounds like Led Zeppelin, how detrimental to their not ego, but their momentum, I guess. Like, I hope they don't take that to heart. I hope they don't think that that's like.
I think the best way to take it is, hey, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause it's
Appreciate it.
amazing. That was an amazing band.
I think that's the best way you can do it because, hey, you just compared us to probably the biggest band of all time.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I'll take it.
Arguably
Sounds awesome.
one of the
Like,
biggest bands
if
of
you're
all
if you're
time.
singing and someone goes, hey man, you sound like Michael Jackson. Hey
Yeah.
man, you sound
I
like
would take
Prince.
that as
You'd be
a
like,
compliment.
thanks, dude.
Right.
Like, that's
Especially if you're
amazing.
not, right.
Yeah. It's like okay. Like
Yeah.
I'm about to go make a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
What I do love the most about this band and this album is it's bringing back. I mean, when we were talking earlier, I didn't want to spoil the surprise talking about this, but we
Yeah.
were talking about the band's bringing it back. Greta Van Fleet.
Yes.
That's who I want to see, quote, keeping rock alive.
Yeah, and they're
of
so
course
young.
the Foo Fighters can keep rock alive. They're selling, 40,000 seats every night.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're keeping rock alive. Is that rock? I don't know. I mean, of course it's rock music, but is that like...
Keeping rock alive. Is what
That's
you meant.
not...
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it keeping rock alive. I would say, doing what you've been
Keeping it
doing for 30 years.
I think that anybody who's putting music like he is putting music out, I guess where I like the Foo Fighters is he's still doing rock and roll and it's still becoming popular, still getting to people.
Absolutely.
I think that is keeping rock music alive because if people are still hearing it in their ear holes, it's keeping it present.
Can't argue with that.
So that's the biggest thing for
But
me.
I
is like
do
big
want to see...
flagship. bands.
I think the best way to prove that rock is being kept alive is for to hear Highway Tune on the radio.
Yeah.
That's the best way
And
for
it's
me to be like,
happening,
okay.
right?
It has to be the
getting
next
radio
generation of bands that keep it alive. Like you said, the
I think
established giants, they're a given.
Yeah.
It
What
already
happens
is
when they're
now.
gone?
Right.
What happens when they're gone? Though?
Absolutely.
Like when
I
Metallica
think-
calls it done, they're like, all right, I think we're done now. Like, who's going to be that style of music? Because if somebody comes out and plays that style of music, everybody going to go, sound like Metallica. I don't know.
It's going to have to be the next generation's thing, though, because the let's say the generation of Metallica fans that die off with Metallica,
Right.
It's going to be to the next round of kids, or
It's gonna
20,
start
30
again,
something,
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
They have to have their own thing,
Exactly. And it'll be-
and those people aren't going to be say, all right, well, Metallica's gone. What's next for me? They're not-
Exactly.
It's at that point.
It's just going to be
so
the
it's-
next thing.
it's gotta be younger
Avenged
kids doing
Sevenfold's
their
already
thing.
kind of fallen like the
Sure.
Metallica type band. They're that kind of music.
And those guys are in their 30s, mid
Exactly.
30s at this point. It's-
Absolutely, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
And I want to see bands, and I am seeing bands like Greta Van Fleet, other bands you guys should check out. Nothing But Thieves,
Yep.
incredible English band.
Yeah.
Um,
We talked about Knives. We've talked about
Knives
the
is
band
great.
Knives.
There's the band Knives.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of cool bands, and I'm totally blanking right now. But the other one that comes to
Good
mind
Tiger.
is Nothing But Thieves.
Good Tiger's an amazing band.
Yeah, there you go.
Some other great bands, man.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of that lately. It's a really awesome record.
So all these bands are, and Greta Van Fleet probably more than the others because they're just so in the public eye right now. They got signed to Republic, I think.
Sure.
That's huge.
It's huge.
To see a
Absolutely
band
huge.
like that sounds so classic.
I can't wait to hear what they
Getting
come out with
signed to
next.
Republic.
Yeah.
That's where Ariana Grande is. Like that's a huge label.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
popular music.
label
That's
has
the
the
popular
power
label.
to bring rock back, so to speak. And I don't
Well,
like
they have
saying
the
bring
money.
rock back.
They have the
'cause
money.
Did it leave? But you
Well,
know.
what radio station are they being played on? Greta Van Fleet. What? I mean, because
Yeah, I don't
you
listen to
can't
the radio,
put them on
so-
classic rock because technically they're not.
Well, you could. I mean, I don't think there's rules, are there?
Well,
or is there like a
well,
rule that a
classic
band
rock-
has
I want
to
to
be?
say I heard it on the classic rock station. 'cause
I would
it's the-
hear-
that's the
I would
only station I
imagine.
know,
Which
but
is nuts
fits right
because
in.
classic rock sticks to pretty formula.
I could be wrong.
Thing,
I could be wrong. It could be the modern rock station.
It could have been the mix or something. Whatever. There's like those alt rock
Honestly,
stations.
I've only been living in Charlotte area for coming up on 3 years.
Yeah.
So 2.5 years.
Yeah,
and
I
I've
listen to the
turned on the
radio.
radio like 4 times.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
listen to the
know
radio
the
either.
stations up here at all. So I don't know, but I'm glad I discovered Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, they were. I forget how I first heard of them. It might have been a YouTube video somebody sent me to check this out. This is killer, like
Yeah.
and
And right there, earlier, you said, oh, I'm going to forget it now. We were talking, and I said I wanted to get to that later because you were talking about how you pay to play. We were talking
the
about that
pay-to-play,
stuff.
Yeah, that's where we.
If
live
you're
now.
good, people will
pay.
get you.
People will pay. For
People
sure.
will get you. You
But
won't have to pay
Greta
to
Van
play. You
Fleet,
don't have
alright.
to do any of that shit.
Right.
If you're good, if you are having to pay to play, you need to step back and be like,
Work
we're
on
not
yourself.
good. Like,
Work on yourself. Get better.
because that does not happen to bands like Greta Van Fleet and
Greta
bands
Van
that are
Fleet
really
was
good.
in 2014. I saw a YouTube video. It was really funny because those teenage years seem to really change the way a person looks. In those short time period.
Oh, yeah, I saw the picture you're talking about,
2014. No, it's a video, and they're playing in this little, I don't know, it looks like a garage or something like that. And there's a line of people, young and old, right? It's really great video because they're surrounding them, and they film them playing this song that. I don't even know if it was on this this record or a song that was from those. Maybe it was an original EP or something like that. I forget, but it was really great to watch everybody moving with them or whatever. They were kids. They were just little guys. Like they seemed so young. It's so awesome though. They were probably 16.
And we see them blow up in the matter of months.
Yeah, but they were on YouTube.
We think it's an overnight success, right?
Exactly.
It's another case
Years
of a
and
20-year
years.
overnight success.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, we got famous
You didn't
in
see
the
all the
past
hard- yeah, you didn't
for
see all the
3
hard
months, but
part.
we've been doing this for like 7 years.
Yeah,
Like,
that's how you get good. That's how you
Exactly.
get good, and that's why this industry
That's
is a
called
long,
paying your dues.
It's a long.
They just get
term-
started earlier than other people.
Exactly, and
And
they were lucky to have
Somehow
supportive parents.
stuck it all together. It's helpful that they're brothers and a close family friend, I guess. But
Absolutely.
I
think that helps any band, the fact that they're family, because family always sticks together, or generally,
or at least they don't have a choice.
Yeah,
Like,
unless you're
if the band
the
breaks up,
Robinson
like they're
brothers from
still
the
your
block.
brothers.
Sure,
like,
sure. Well, they started out, they were together. So, I mean, like, what? But the point is, like, family tends to try to stay together. So it's helpful for a band to stay together long enough to see themselves getting better and put out an amazing record that people will remember forever.
Yeah, so the results are in, and I mean, you got to check out this album.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. One of these days, we need to do an album review where we just don't like the album.
Yeah.
We're always doing albums we love.
Oh, I thought that's what the point was.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on here and diss an album.
I would like to get on here and constructively, like,
Constructive criticism is
have some
fine, I
issues with
guess.
an album, I don't
why
want it to
would-
be like a jerk fest. where it's just like fuck all of his band.
Yeah, because I guess I get mixed up between solo of the week and album review. Solo of the week is always going to be good because it's the solo of
Doesn't
the
have
week.
to be.
But the album review is definitely solo of the week.
No,
That's
none
a
of them.
shitty solo. Just like,
Absolutely.
you guys
dude.
want to hear a solo? Check this one out.
I don't want to. I mean, I want to be positive and all that stuff. But if I have issues with something, like I want to talk about that too.
Sure.
You know.
So should we get into the solo of the week then this week?
That's a really great segue. So you know what time it is.
Solo of the week.
We've already talked a whole lot about the Black Album, and Nothing Else Matters is an awesome song and happens to have a guitar solo by James Hetfield on it.
Which I did not know until you sent me the video a few hours ago.
Probably most people don't realize that, you know, because it
I knew the solo, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But did not know it was James playing it.
Right. So if you watch the official music video, which is on YouTube, he plays it in the studio, and they have a little video of him playing it.
It's the last solo in the song, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
real
thought.
bluesy, real powerful.
Yeah.
Grindy.
Just under 30 seconds, grab you and rip your guts out.
Yeah. Amazing, emotional, super intense.
Yep.
Love it.
Let's take a quick listen and then we'll talk about it.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, guys? Dallas here. You know what time it is. YouTube won't let us play the solo of the week here. So if you want to check it out, feel free to subscribe to us on iTunes or just search it on your own. Let's get back to the show.
So, yeah, super iconic. I think everybody who knows that song, and you know, you hear it on the radio, you know, pretty much most of the time.
And you would think it's Kirk just because he's a lead guitar player, but it is a very different style.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised I didn't pick up on that consciously,
Slow,
at least.
bluesy, and so James wrote that whole song.
Yeah, there's just a few moments here and there throughout their catalog where James has actually done those lead type.
Even
And I
early-
love that that's
Yeah,
on one of their
there's-
biggest songs, too.
Sure.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
and they debated putting that song on the record.
That wasn't even really going to be a Metallica song at all. It's
Yeah.
just something James had been working on. Lars heard it and it's like, oh man, we got to have that.
That's
You
so
know,
cool. That's so. I love Lars for that.
That's a great.
Because
Yeah,
they're a great
Lars
teammate.
decision.
They're a great teammate to each other because Lars is the guy just looking at these like, okay, I'm not the guitar player, but what do I think about this guitar part?
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like just literally looking at it from
like a
an
fresh perspective,
outside perspective, you know, and James is locked up and he's playing his guitar all the time, listening to himself play guitar. And we know we're all three of us here in this room play guitar. We know how things tend to sound a little different when it's you doing it, or it's like a different perspective. It's only your perspective is all you can have. So
Right.
having another perspective, and I think Lars tries to be an objective perspective. So.
Sometimes he's an ass about it.
Sure. But maybe that's called for.
Yeah, maybe
that's
it
what's
is. I don't know.
required.
They're both big personalities.
Absolutely.
So they kind of need that yin and yang, you know?
The Saint Anger documentary documents that well. How it can be like fiery sometimes.
Well, and I think Lars, you know, his true emotions tend to, you know, wears them on his sleeve a lot easier, you know. So
Yes.
if something really hits
Absolutely.
him, you know, he gets excited about anything, you know.
Yeah, and that's probably a good thing for a musician
Right.
because then they act on any emotions they have, and then it comes out in the music.
Yep.
So
I mean,
amazing.
other thoughts on this solo as we wind down here?
No, just it's an awesome solo, and I think people should recognize that James Hetfield plays some good lead. You know,
I like that you brought
from
that
time
to the
time.
table today, and I like that the focus point is that James played it, not Kirk.
Yeah, well,
that's great.
that's the biggest thing for me. I think is bringing it
Well,
up.
like he says, you know, never open himself this way, or, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
never open myself this way, whatever. But
The lyrics are
you know,
deep. I love it.
You know, and so, you know, that emotion it comes out in that solo, and it's only just under 30 seconds long. It's short, but every note is really tasteful, and you can just feel the emotion.
There's really no other note that you would want.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Exactly,
It's one of those ones. It doesn't
the way
leave
he
you wanting
bends,
anything else.
the
It's
way he
perfect.
bends that last note,
Very
and holds
good.
It,
I noticed that too. The
Live.
first time I saw it.
Yeah,
The live
and the live
stuff,
when
when
see
you
him do
watch it, he
live,
holds the
just
extra
holds
long
the-
note.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
He holds it all the way
Yeah.
up to the top of it.
And then
Yeah.
walks it down
Yeah,
to
exactly.
go out. So
I noticed that too when watching that video you sent me. I was like, wow, that last bend was really nice.
Yeah,
right.
he does it
right
even
into
more.
him.
He does it more exaggerated live, so it's cool
Yeah.
to watch. Like look up live videos of how he does it. So
That's
it's
nice.
pretty neat. Great solo. He loves
Awesome.
it. Obviously, he plays it all the time.
Cool. Closing thoughts for episode 8, gentlemen.
This is fun.
no, I had a good time. Thanks for having me over, guys.
No problem,
Thanks
Kyle.
for being on it. It was
Absolutely love
great. It was great.
And we got to have you on again sometime for sure.
Absolutely.
Matt, bring us home.
Signing off. That was awesome.
All
I
right,
don't know what
we'll
else I want to say.
We'll see you guys next week. Hey guys, first of all, thank you so much for listening. If you could please take a quick moment to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating and review. Your feedback seriously is really important and it helps us keep the show alive.
Check out musicianstalkshow.com to sign up for our mailing list. If you do, we're going to send you our main theme song and a few other surprises. Plus, you'll always be the first to know what episodes are coming up.
If you want to help support the show so we can keep putting out the highest quality content possible, please follow the Support the Show link at our website and consider donating to our Patreon page.
Lastly, if you have an idea for a guest or a question you want to discuss, contact us through any of the contact forms on our website, and we'll do everything we can to make it happen.
Whew, all right. That was a lot, but we got through it. Thanks again, guys, and we will see you soon.